Former President Trump holding a, quote, rally to protect our elections, end quote, tomorrow in Arizona's Maricopa County. Maricopa County, of course, where sham election audit has made the state ground zero for Trump's big lie about a stolen election. It comes as the Washington Post reports that Trump's PAC raised $75 million this year, and that none of that money has gone to Arizona's audit or similar efforts in other states, despite Trump loudly and vocally, saying they're key to overturning the election. And that's the whole point, the election that he, of course, falsely claims was stolen from him. Sunlen Sarfati is out front.
Former President Donald Trump.
We were doing so well until the rigged election happened to come along.
Remaining fixated on the baseless claims of election fraud, pushing hard for state ballot reviews of the 2020 election results. In a steady stream of public statements and comments promoting the so-called audit of Maricopa County ballots in Arizona.
I want to congratulate, by the way, Republican state senators in Arizona and other places for their great work that they are doing in exposing this fraud.
But privately, Trump isn't putting his money where his mouth is. The Washington Post reporting that of the $75 million Trump's Save America PAC has brought in the first half of this year, the group has not put any resources into helping finance the ongoing ballot reviews he's been pushing so hard for, citing sources familiar with the finances. Instead, according to the Washington Post, that money is actually paying for some of the former president's travel, legal costs, and staff, along with other expenses, and noting the PAC has held onto much of its cash.
There are so many discrepancies, so many problems, and they've heard from so many people about the corruption and what took place.
There is no evidence of widespread fraud in the 2020 election, but Republicans in several states are responding to the former president, pushing for audits or other ballot reviews, like the one in Arizona. But who is actually funding the Arizona effort is largely shrouded in secrecy, with private fundraisers boasting they have directed hundreds of thousands of dollars to the audit, which has been run by a little-known Florida-based security consulting firm, Cyber Ninjas, not previously known for election auditing. A group with ties to Overstock founder Patrick Burns says it's raising funds to support the Maricopa audit and helping with future audits. Another group established by One America News personality Christina Bobb has also touted receiving donations for the audit.
And former President Trump is heading to Phoenix, Arizona tomorrow to talk about all of this at that so-called Protect Our Elections rally, a rally errand that is funded by a conservative activist.
All right. Thank you very much, Sunlen. And I want to bring in Krista Rose, Republican elections lawyer and the former clerk of Maricopa County Superior Court, and Abby Phillip, anchor and senior political correspondent, of course, here at CNN. So, Abby, given how much energy and attention Trump has placed on pushing the big lie and these audits, right, specifically, right, mentioning Arizona, mentioning specific audits and how they should happen, and this is the key to everything, he still doesn't put his own money into the effort to prove widespread voter election fraud? Amazing.
Yeah. I mean, it's a fundraising tool. There's nothing right now that is more motivating to Republican voters than this idea of the big lie. And Trump has been integral in using it as a tool to fund his own political ambitions. At the end of the day, this war chest that he has built up since the election has been about his next election, about keeping open the prospect that he might be able to run in 2024, and perhaps also based on the Washington Post reporting, funding his lifestyle, currently his staff, his expenses, his ability to travel around the country. It's no surprise that the candidate who claimed that he would self-fund his campaign so that he wouldn't be beholden to special interests and then turned around and took money from special interests would then do something like this. It's pretty, I think, par for the course for Trump.
That's amazing, though, as you lay it out. I mean, Chris, you were an early opponent, excuse me, of the sham audit. But obviously, this audit is certainly going to be front and center at Trump's rally in Phoenix tomorrow. I mean, it's in Maricopa County. The audit, though, has taken on a life of its own, and as you know, some Republicans have been touting it as a way to prove their loyalty to Trump, right? They've come from around the country to been like a Mecca. They've been coming to visit the location of the audit. How do you deal with this, Chris?
Yeah, well, here's the problem, and I would advise any elected official throughout the country who's thinking about replicating our audit in their county, their state, run, don't walk in the other direction, because what's happened here in Arizona is that this train has left the station, and now the people aboard have the choice of waiting for it to go over the cliff or to jump off at 200 miles an hour. But now there are no good options for this audit here in Arizona. First of all, it was unnecessary. Our Republican County Board of Supervisors, which is 4-1 Republican, conducted 2 audits using Election Assistance Commission approved companies, bipartisan commission, nonpartisan professional companies. 2 audits confirmed that we had had a fair election here in Maricopa County. So there was no purpose to begin with. But ever since, it's been a conclusion in search of evidence. And now that no evidence of fraud or error has been detected, they've taken to inventing statistics and facts that are just made up out of thin air about more ballots received than requested, which of course has been thoroughly debunked. And so there's no good resolution for this. I said when this started there would be no good that could come out of this, and every day that's proven to be increasingly true.
I mean, Abby, you know, what Chris is laying out, I mean, here's the thing. When this audit, and, you know, I put the quotes around it, when this is done, whenever it is done, it's been going on and on, it still goes on and on. But then there's an outcome, and I think what Chris just said is pretty powerful, right? You can either go off the cliff or jump off the train going 200 miles an hour. When this is done, whatever that means, it could be a major flashpoint. I mean, what's at risk here, Abby?
Well, considering that there's already a conspiracy theory that Trump was going to be reinstated in August, I mean, it's all part of the atmospherics around the way in which these types of audits and the kind of false hope that it gives Trump supporters are creating, frankly, a dangerous environment in which people, you know, rank and file Republicans fervently believe this stuff, fervently believe that they're going to find something where there is nothing. And then when it doesn't happen, they are angry, they are disillusioned. That's the part of this that I think leaves people waking up at night. And you know, to use Chris's analogy about whether they're going to go off the cliff or jump off the train at 200 miles an hour, I think Republicans are going off the cliff. They have already decided that they are not getting off of this train. They are going with it until the very end.
And Chris, you've led and worked on election integrity efforts for Republican governors and members of Congress, and I know you've been clear, you're going to continue to support efforts to increase election fairness. But what is your message to the Republicans out there now, many of whom are elected, who are still pushing the big lie, to try to run audits in their own states now?
Yeah, I can tell you as a Republican attorney who has worked on election integrity matters for over a decade in 5 different states that our nominee lost the 2020 election, and every minute we spend trying to relitigate that election, number one, it undermines confidence in our democracy and in our representative government. But 2, it's a minute that we don't spend talking about the issues that are going to motivate voters in the 2022 election. So the more we talk about this, you know, our audit here in Arizona may be popular within the Republican Party, but multiple polls have shown that it's anathema to general election voters. And so every minute we're talking about this, every minute we waste trying to relitigate an election that we lost is a minute we don't spend trying to win over voters that are up for grabs in the midterm elections.
All right. Well, I appreciate both of you very much. Thank you for your time.